What's up, kid? Hector Rico here. Before we get started on this video, I should just let you have like a trigger warning because I'm going to say a whole bunch of controversial stuff that it might offend someone or other, as if I cared. But I'm just giving you the heads up and giving you this trigger warning because it's kind of like sometimes somebody just needs like to clip on that safety pin onto their collar and go hide in the safe space or something. So if that's you, now would be the perfect time to do that. Today's topic, I'm going to talk about emotional incest because I'm starting to notice dramatically how the country is after this, like the recession. I mean, not the, yeah, well, it was a recession and all this stuff about the inflation and all this and that. And I'm starting to realize like how dramatically the country has changed and certain stuff from the last decade, it's a bygone era. It don't exist anymore. And I'm starting to see how different stuff really is now. And okay, let's get started. Let's see. Okay, so I notice now it's like the era of the son husband. I've had a few friends that they were like a total son husband to their single mom. I remember being at some restaurant, I think I was like in New York or New Jersey or something. I was trucking, and sure enough, the waitress was standing around, and she said something weird, and she said something like, to that effect that, I hope my husband isn't late when I get home. And then she showed me a picture on the phone. She was referring to her son, who was like a teenager. And that grossed me out so much that I just wanted to leave the restaurant, but I had to pay, but that was just weird to me. I noticed last year as well, I was working outside and this random woman shows up and she's walking with her son in the parking lot, and everything about that looked so wrong and awkward because she was wrapped around him like if it was her boyfriend. And nowadays, like, there is no old sayings, there is no more wisdom to pass on, and there really isn't any old sayings. Nowadays, it's all just propaganda and hashtags and some nonsense like that. And whenever I see that somebody says love is love, I scratch it off. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking needy is needy. That's not healthy or anything. Whenever they say love is love, it's going to be something dumb. And it's just like, I just don't like it. It's stupid to me. Like, not only is there son husbands, but like, here's something the media doesn't tell you. Whenever it's a single mom and she raised up a daughter by herself, that daughter is always going to be trying to be like the head of the household. And they will get into some ugly fights. They will get into some real ugly fights. And usually, like, every single mother I've ever known growing up, because they never disciplined their kid, they usually throw the kid out on the street by the time he's a teenager. They just gave up on him altogether. There was no discipline in that house. And off that teenager goes, whether it's a guy or a girl, and they're going to make some real bad choices, pal. And nowadays, the media tries its hardest to cancel any type of fatherhood or any kind of, like, father figure, what have you. When I was growing up, I remember this one friend of mine. It was freaky because I was like in the 3rd grade when I met him. And clearly, like, nowadays you notice it, this guy was a son husband. And his mom groomed him to be a drug dealer. And he was like a preteen, and he's already doing that. And that always stood out to me, and everybody was freaking out. Like, I mean, I think he had an idea of what it was he was doing, but he didn't fully understand it. But he knew what that world was because his mother got him into it. And clearly he was like the son husband. And that's just freaky to me, man. I see a lot in like sports. I see it a lot in sports, like actors and actresses, and they'll straight up just be like, they'll buy their mom a house and all this other weird stuff, and they're like, oh, I'll never get married. My mom's enough for me. It's like, what? It's a son husband. Emotional incest. Uh, in my late teens, I was always walking everywhere, all over the place. I was walking to like 2 or 3 different neighborhoods, and everybody just knew who I was. And sometimes I'd have my friend with me, like me and this other dude, and we would walk everywhere. We'd go to like, if there was a party, we would go to the gas station and we'd buy like some chips and dip, like something to like bring to the party. And we weren't even invited, but because we brought like a gift, they let us be at the party because we were always walking around. And I would make friends here and there. And here's something that's kind of weird. Every so often, let's say it was like a single mother household, there was like a sister or something there. Girls my age never cared about me when I was like a youngster. And every now and then one of these girls would get like a boyfriend or something. And the weirdest thing happened. They would introduce the boyfriend to me like if I was the dad, like a surrogate dad. And in a way, I'm not even going to lie, I kind of thought that was like kind of romantic. I did come from like a different generation. You knew like you couldn't just leave a girl like that. Like a good example would be that movie Taxi Driver. Taxi Driver, like Robert De Niro knew that Jodie Foster, like he treated her like a daughter. It was a completely platonical relationship. Wolverine, he always treated Rogue like a daughter. He knew he couldn't have a normal relationship, so he just had that platonical relationship with Rogue. Every time he bumps into Rogue, he always looks at her like that's the new dad. Like he always looks at Rogue like he's her dad, and she looks at him like the same way. The feeling's mutual. And now Doctor Strange, he's like that with that girl America. He couldn't have a real relationship, so he has a platonical relationship with that young girl because he knows that she needs a dad. What was that other movie that From Dusk Till Dawn? George Clooney knew that he has a death wish, and he told that girl, sorry girl, I can't be your dad. And he left her with like a car and some money and some guns and left. What's the other one? I used to watch The Walking Dead. Wasn't Daryl, he had like a platonical relationship with that teenage girl. He was like her dad now because she didn't have a dad or whatever it was. I haven't seen The Walking Dead in years. And then it's crazy because one of these girls that I mentioned a while back, I was like at the mall or something, and I knew like there was something weird about her saying hello to me. I'm like, it stood out. I'm like, why was she saying hello to me like I was her dad? It is what it is. In my generation, they used to have this old saying. They would say, a woman grows up and marries a man exactly like her dad. And in the past 10 years, I remember there used to be like that hashtag, and they would say like, girls would say it was being cute, it wasn't being sexy. They would just say, my dad was the only man for me ever. Like, I couldn't blame them. I mean, these men nowadays, they just aren't up to snuff. Uh, in my early 20s, I'll confess to this story. In my early 20s, I was working at this one bar in downtown San Antonio, and we happened to have a river walk. Every now and then, there'll be a city or a state that has like a river walk kind of. And it was like my first week on the job. I didn't know what the bar scene was really like. I had an idea, but I mean, I wasn't ready for what was going to happen that night. And slowly but surely, there's this one son husband, and he brings his mom with him. She was kind of like, I want to say she was like the office type. And the son husband climbs up. We were like up the stairs, like a floor above the. Let's just say that you had to climb stairs to get to the bar and the patio, and they're walking up the stairs. And when I ID'd them, I check out the son husband. He's telling me like, "Yeah, today's my birthday," and apparently his mom took him out on like an emotional incest date to go to a bar. And I'm IDing them, and I didn't think much of it. And here's the weird part. The son husband says, "Hey, my mom looks hot, doesn't she?" Excuse me? You don't say stuff like that. But I just kind of just was flabbergasted, all silent, like, why would he say that? Well, I didn't know that she probably spotted me from like a mile away because I didn't know anything back then. They're climbing up the stairs, and sure enough, they go inside. There was a cover charge. They must have paid like $15 to get in altogether. But I told him too, I was like, "Hey, pal, we're the same age. We're both 21. And then they would switch us off depending on how busy it got on one side of the bar. And maybe like 10, 15 minutes later, I see them from the corner of my eye. Both of them are walking like practically hand in hand. And they're walking towards me, trying to get down the stairs. And here's where it gets kind of freaky. The mom had a champagne glass, or like a wine glass kind of. She was drinking the liquid courage, and I was up leaning against this rail, like where the stairs are at. There's like one of those guardrail things, and I can't believe she was doing this, but she drank the drink, right? And then she puts the wine glass next to because I had my arm on this trash can thing. It was full of like a bunch of like different cups and glasses and stuff. And she drinks it, and then the moment she puts the glass down, she jumps on top of me and freaking gives me a kiss right here. And that lasted like 7 seconds. And honest to God, if that guardrail was not there, I would have fallen over back altogether. She could have knocked me over like a ton of bricks, dude. She could have grabbed a feather and knocked me over with a feather. And I can't believe how she planned that crap. But the thing is, the reason that happened was because she was trying to make her son husband jealous. Isn't that just crazy? Because I'm 6 feet tall, stuff is just slightly different. Like, and daddy issues nowadays are completely different than what daddy issues were when I was growing up. I'll tell you this one. I hope I don't get in trouble for confessing this one, but growing up, like, as a teenager, pretty much like a lot of the dates I had, these women were like 40. And just like that story I just said a little while ago about the woman kissing me goodnight, you could tell they were taking out their daddy issues on me. Like, Yeah, the white women will call me dad. Maybe sometimes the Latina will too, but I notice like, and you people have noticed it too, like in the Latino community, they always say mommy and papi and this and that. But look at the context in which they say it. It's more like a term of endearment. It all depends on how you use it. Um, but yeah, these like, if that sounds really backwards, it's because it is. How is it that I would be like 20 and a 40-something-year-old woman takes out her daddy issues on me? All right, here's another trigger warning. Um, Mike Pence, right? The old vice president. Now, I'm not going to talk about his political beliefs. I'm going to talk about his personal life. I'm pretty sure that Mike Pence does not call his wife, mother. He's a biker. He's always been a biker. Bikers call their old ladies mama. Okay. What Mike Pence does, they've been doing this since the 70s. They used to call it the Billy Graham rule. And now they call it the Mike Pence rule. Mike Pence will purposely keep his office door wide open so everybody could hear whatever conversation is going on. Mike Pence does this thing to an extreme, but I can't blame him. Unless his wife is present, he will not talk to any other woman. He will not risk being falsely accused of anything, because we're in a whole different era now. When he was in Europe, and there was that, I think it was like in Germany, but they warned that female politician that, look, he's barely going to shake your hand, and unless his wife is present, he's not going to talk to you. Honestly, I give him props. I would take it to that extreme. If I had a girlfriend or a wife or something, I'm not going to risk it. I don't blame Mike Pence. It took him forever to get all that power and that he has, and he's not going to lose it over something like that. Never happened. But I assure you, that guy does not call his wife mother like Norman Bates. Okay? When I say needy is needy, it's kind of like, nowadays it's kind of normal, or me, I never jump on the bandwagon, ever. I never jump on the bandwagon. I just kind of look at stuff and be like, oh, okay, I can see why that's happening, but we're living in that TikTok era where, in particular, man, if like the girls see something as like they consider it normal, they'll start doing it. I notice all these dating sites and all this other crap where the woman she calls herself a dog mom. That attack dog is a surrogate husband. That's all he is. It's like, why don't you just get a real husband? It's basically the same thing. You can just treat him like a dog. Just feed him. And then, it's like, you're not fooling anybody. We know what you're doing with that dog behind closed doors. You know? And if you're a dog mother watching this, the only piece of advice I could really give you, keep the dog on a short leash. By that I mean, when you're walking an attack dog, only give it half as much slack. You have to use both hands to carry the leash. That way the dog knows that you're walking the dog's not walking you. Because if you just carry the leash by the handle, the dog is going to control you and run around and do whatever it wants, sniffing stuff all over the place. If you carry it with both hands and keep it on a short leash, the dog will understand that, like, you're taking the lead. Okay? A long time ago, psychiatrists used to they used to ask you like these trick questions just to see, like, to get you to open up more and stuff so they could figure out like the root cause of certain things. A psychologist used to a psychologist used to ask you, when was the last time you wet the bed? Because it is a significant question. And a lot of the times what a psychologist does to if they ask you this one trick question, they want you to list off every relationship you ever had with a woman. The trick question being is that they want to see if you're gonna, if what they're really looking for is to see that what your relationship with your mother was like, because that'll be the first relationship you ever had with a woman. You know? That's what it is that they're actually looking for. I would say, man, it doesn't take a genius to figure it out. Like, my mom's Jewish, right? You could tell how Jewish I am by how well read and well spoken I am. Everybody on my mom's side of the family, they all got the Jew fro. They all got this pasty white skin. The Latin American countries, they call those Sephardic Jews. To me, the one that always freaked me out was Harry Houdini. This dude had the freaking Oedipus complex. I mean, he was more than just a son husband. He was just crazy. All the pictures he has with his wife, his mom's right there with him, and he always referred to them as his two wives or something. That always freaked me the hell out. But it takes a Jew to know a Jew. And I can tell you this one too, all those comedians, what's every last go-to joke that a Jewish comedian has? He starts talking about his mother and how annoying she is, but they always have this complex relationship with her. You know? But Harry Houdini always freaked me the hell out. Well, I hope you got some red pill knowledge out of all this. If not, it was a pretty funny rant, huh? Alright, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you.